Arch Manning dropped a bombshell yesterday. That man's in the game. Because originally, remember, the thought was he's opting out of the game. The reasoning behind it was, the report at least was, he wants to just focus on football. There was also a report out there previously he wasn't going to take any NIL money until he won the job at Texas. But he's in the game. This is a great deal for all of us. There was a lot of, I think, thought, though, that, man, did Arch Manning just pull the wool over our eyes? Was this just some master plan from the jump? Got some thoughts on that. Make sure you're subscribed. College football all the time. College football 25 on the horizon. We'll talk about that as well. Make sure you're dialed in here if you're a college football sicko. All right, we appreciate you for that. Also follow me on the socials, as I've mentioned already multiple times throughout this live show, at JD Piquel, Twitter, Instagram, heck, TikTok, wherever you do your social media stuff at, we got you there with the same handle, at JD Piquel. So here's my take on this. I'll set the scene a little bit more, actually. Arch Manning yesterday did a national commercial spot with EA Sports. It's him and his uncle, Eli Manning. Eli Manning says, Arch, this is the best way to focus on football, is playing the game. Arch says, yes, coach. I mean, yes, Uncle E. And he shows him in practice now, very important little Easter egg there. It shows Arch Manning, the player in the game, in practice, in a practice facility, throwing the ball at Texas. So he announces, hey, I'm going to be in the game. It was reported via Pete Nakos. There are whispers it was right around $50,000 to $60,000 is what he got to be in this game, allegedly, or to promote this game, rather, to be in that commercial spot. The thought from a lot of folks, and I don't think they're all the way wrong, is, man, the Mannings just took us for a ride. The thought is he announced, or it got out, rather, intentionally, that he wasn't going to be in the game to create some momentum for this moment right here where he says, I'm in the game, and people get fired up and like, yes, Arch is in the game. Great publicity for EA Sports. Great pub for college football 25. So that's the thought. I have a harder time buying into that. And the reason for that being, it never really didn't make sense on paper for him to opt out of the game because it stuck right in line with what we've known about Arch Manning and the Manning camp since he was a high school recruit. Like, it was reported he's not taking NIL money until he wins the job at Texas. It's also very well documented. Guy's not really trying to be that front-facing and trying to be out in the spotlight. Like, he's trying to just keep it about football, focus on ball, do his thing, work in the shadows, and then when it's his time to be the starter, we'll, kind of look at this thing in a different light. So to have it be this thing where there was some big buildup and he didn't want to be in the game, and then now he's back in the game like as some big publicity stunt, that to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Here's what my gut is that I believe is the most likely situation. Can't prove it. We're speculating wildly, but it's a beautiful Wednesday in July, so here we go. What I've gathered from other people talking to them around this situation, or that cover the situation rather, is that they feel like Arch Manning was never 100% out on being in this game. The report gets out there, he wants to focus on football, but there's also kind of that side eye, keeping the door cracked open of like, all right, well, maybe he still wants to be in the game. Maybe he's going to end up in the game. So that's one thought, again, from talking to folks that cover this thing. The other thought that I have here is I think that not being in the game for Arch Manning and the Manning camp and their decision to go that route originally, I think that was real, but I think that it ultimately had the opposite effect they were trying to create. Because the hope was he's not in the game, don't worry about it, less attention, he's focused on him, we don't have to worry with what his overall rating is and all the extra stuff that comes with Arch Manning being in college football 25. When in fact, what actually happened was people like me got on the microphone and got on YouTube and said, this kind of feels a little bit like it's a bigger deal by not being in the game. Like, I'm not talking about Arch Manning if he's in the game from the jump, but I am talking about him when it becomes a thing that he's not going to be in the game. So if the hope was to not have attention on Arch Manning and the Manning camp, this doesn't do that. This has the opposite effect. Some folks are saying this was all about attention. And to those folks that say that, you just look at them and say, you don't know what you're talking about, brother. You thought this was an attention thing? If it was an attention thing for Arch Manning to have this moment, to be in the commercial, there would be signs that that was how he got down from the jump. Like, we would be able to tell this about Arch Manning, that he's a big attention guy. Everything we know about him points the opposite direction. Because if you're big on attention, what are you big on? Social media. Arch Manning, social media activity, pretty minimal. Arch Manning didn't really do the whole camp circuit. Didn't play in any All-Star games. He could have. Promise you he could have. Didn't do that. Would be all about his NIL paper. Reports also out there. He's not taking an NIL dollar until he becomes a starting quarterback at Texas. That was the original thought. Now this obviously, it sounds like he got paid to do that ad, which to me I have no problem with. But this is a win for everybody. Arch is in the game. I think it probably puts him in a better light just from where I'm standing that he's in the game. It'd be a little bit more weird if he wasn't in the game because there's no reason to not be in the game. As college football fans and someone who's going to play this game, we got a more realistic Texas roster. I thought, honestly, that ad, too, the cherry on top was, I thought it made him a little bit more human, too. Like, we haven't really had a great gauge for Arch Manning, the person, the guy. We've seen different interviews with him in small sample sizes, like the Sugar Bowl was one where we got to see him. But, or the college football playoff, that is. I thought he was just, like, normal, funny, not a half-bad actor in that ad. And, yeah, I thought it was good. So, overall, we all win. Arch is in the game, and we're not that far at all away from this game being available to us. Can't wait for it. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.